Focus on people that you know, and ideally start raising the money before you actually have the deal.
So this is the classic dig your well before you're thirsty.
Oh, beautiful. Well said. Because there's this other classic saying in real estate, just find a good deal and the money will find you. And I say baloney. I say your advice is much better. Dig your well first before you're thirsty. In other words, let's get our investors lined up, our investor ducks in a row, and then let's go looking for the deals. It makes life so much easier.
Now, the one thing I can imagine straight away in the back of the mind of our listener is, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm begging to the family to borrow money.
Exactly, right? So we don't want to do it that way, right? Because if you pick up the phone and you start dialing for dollars, that's exactly what's going to happen. So here's what we do. I'll just kind of break down. It's a whole 5-step process, but I'll give you the 30,000 foot perspective here, Paul. First thing we do is we create a target group of approximately 150 to 200 people, pre-existing relationships, friends, family members, coworkers, business associates, blah, blah, blah. And people probably say, I don't know 200 people, Dave. Yeah, you probably do. So here's what we do with our clients, because we do this stuff one-on-one with people. We export all of their contacts from their cell phone, their email contacts, their social media contacts, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, whatever the heck you're into, right? Get them all into one place, like an Excel spreadsheet, sift, sort, deduplicate. I'm probably going to get it down to about 2,000 or 3,000 people on that list. Now, you don't really know all of those people, but you can quickly whittle that down to a couple of hundred people that you actually do have a pre-existing relationship with. So that's going to be our target group. Are all of them going to become investors? Heck no, right? If you have 200 people, probably out of that group over time, you're probably, safe to say you can probably get in the 7 to 15 investors out of that group over time, which for most mom and pops is all you're ever going to need. All right. Because those people, once they start seeing some results, they're going to invest and reinvest and refer you and all this kind of stuff. But that's where we want to get started. So then here's the key, because you mentioned people are saying, I don't want to call up my friends and family and hit them up for money. Well, let's not do that. Let's turn this whole thing around, Paul. And instead of us chasing after them, why don't we get them? Well, they might not chase after us, but why don't we get them coming to us, putting up their hand and self-identifying, saying, hey, Paul, this real estate thing you're doing, I'd like to find out more. Tell me about that. Because that conversation is a complete 180 from us desperately, needily, creepily calling people up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but how do you do that?
All right. Now you want to get you want me to tell you how to do that. All right, no problem. So we start off with that list of a couple hundred people, and then the first step is to actually reconnect with these people before we even start talking business, before we even start talking deals or real estate investing, right? We want to reconnect with these folks on a personal level first and set the stage to start talking about real estate. So what we do is we set up what's called a 3-step warm-up campaign. And the most efficient way to do this at this time is to do it via email, right? Because you got a couple of hundred people. If I told everybody to call everybody up and set up coffee meetings, all this kind of stuff, it ain't going to happen. But we can do this efficiently through email with 3 simple emails. The first email that goes out is what I call the Christmas letter from Aunt Nadine. Because my Aunt Nadine back in the 70s and 80s,
right,
every Christmas used to handwrite a lovely long letter. She'd go down, get it Xeroxed, because that's what we called photocopying back in the day, put it in with her Christmas cards and send that to all of her friends and family. Because back in those days, there was no social media, no email, no faxes. Long distance phone calls were crazy expensive. So people wrote letters, and that's kind of how they stayed in touch. So we're going to do a modern version of that, kind of catch people up on what we've been up to, and the family's been up to for the last 3, 4, maybe 5 years. Okay. Doesn't have to be super long. About, if you're going to print it out, maybe about a page long, give or take. Nice, friendly, non-formal kind of a communication. And at the end of it, you say, hey, that's what I've been up to. How about you? Please reply to this email. Let me know how you do. You set that up in a CRM or an email autoresponder, send that out to all 200 people. Then your job is to respond to people that reconnect with you, because there is capital in those connections. Not this second, but we're going to set the stage for success further down. So that's the first message. Second message goes out 2 or 3 days later. Very similar kind of message, but I recommend you do it video form this time. Again, with that call to action. Hey, Love to hear how you're doing. If you haven't had a chance to yet, please hit reply to the email. Let's connect. Let's catch up. Send those out. Typically, we're seeing that people are getting anywhere from a 10 to a 20% response from that. So that's good, right? You're not going to get all 200 people replying to you, but you're probably going to get somewhere in the range of 20 to 40 people getting back to you. And there is capital in those reconnections. And then here's the magic, Paul. The third step in this is what I call your transition message. And this is going to let people know that we're going to switch gears. We're going to start talking about real estate and just give them the heads up of what's coming down the pipeline. So transition message might go something like this. Hey, it's Dave. It's been really good reconnecting with you over the last week or so. I want to let you know I plan on doing a much better job of staying in touch, letting you know what I'm up to with real estate investing. It's something I'm really excited about, really doing well with it. In fact, I think real estate's the best way for everyday folks like you and like myself to get an above average return on our money backed by a solid, tangible asset, a real piece of property. I don't know anything else out there that has as many different profit centers and that we can exercise as much control over as a piece of real estate. And who knows, maybe sometime in the future, you might even want to partner with me and share in the profits, right? So we have this kind of a message. It's not a direct kind of a thing. it's an oh, by the way kind of thing. We wrap it up and say, and if you haven't had a chance to get back to me yet, please hit reply to this email. Let's catch up. I'd love to hear from you. So ding, 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 that goes out over about a 1 week period. And now we've set the stage. Does that make sense, Paul?
Absolutely. So you're basically seeding.
Yeah.
And then what do you do about keeping in touch? What do you do about, you've promised to keep in touch. So
yeah, we promised to keep in touch. Well, actually, the next step, that's step 3 of this process. The next step is we want to make sure we're ready to go in case somebody says, hey, Paul, what's this real estate thing you're doing? I'd like to find out more. Now, the warm-up campaign is not designed to get you investor meetings. However, we find that when we're working with clients, about half the time, that's exactly what happens. So about half of our clients get somebody reaching out saying, hey, Paul, tell me about your deals. So now we got to be able to do what? Tell them about our deals, right? So what we always recommend is have a good, simple, easy to follow, easy to understand slide deck presentation, like a PowerPoint, and walk people through that either one-on-one, like at a coffee meeting or on Zoom, like we are right now. Share your screen, walk them through this, and keep it very high level. Because one of the mistakes we make as real estate entrepreneurs is we assume everybody else is a real estate enthusiast, or as I refer to, a real estate weirdo like us. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. Most people don't give a crap. So we don't want to overwhelm folks with too much information, too much data, too much jargon. We want to keep it Reader's Digest level so that it's easy for them to understand. They get the gist of it and they know that we know our stuff. So that's really important with this presentation. Keep it pretty high level and walk people through your primary real estate investing strategy, your primary market, why it makes sense, and how it works, and what, most importantly, what's in it for them as your investor partner. It's not about how smart Dave is or how smart Paul is. It's really all about what's in it for the other person. Does that make sense, Paul?
Right.
So that's step number 2. Make sure you've got your present, what we call your $1 million investor presentation, dialed in and ready to go.